we just put this together in like 2 days. So obviously we're very enthusiastic. So we're here because people have been asking me why we're here. So we're here to show our commitment to the Constitution and upholding our fundamental freedoms and responsibilities. These freedoms and responsibilities are ours, and you all know that. That's why we're here. And by being here, we're practicing it. So thank you so much. We're not just talking about it, we're living it. There was a wonderful gathering in Queen's Park on Wednesday morning this week, where our constitutional rights lawyer Rocco Galati and 3 politicians met to confront Doug Ford to support us in our desire to end these emergency measures and the lockdown. But Doug didn't come. And no one was arrested, and no one was charged. So he didn't come, and no one was arrested for violating whatever unlawful violations were violated on that particular day. Simply, the charges and arrests won't hold up in court. As MPP Randy Hillier said on Wednesday, they don't want you to test the law. They don't want to enforce the law. They want you to be scared of the law. We are not afraid. Our rights are not up for debate. Of course, these bullies may rather just go after me, a regular mom, rather than a high-profile constitutional lawyer and 3 educated politicians. But hopefully not. Today, moms all over the world, as part of the 100 million moms, are holding freedom walks and gatherings like this one in order to stand up for a world worthy of raising our families and growing old in. It's of utmost importance that we keep our God-given freedoms, and that's why we're here. For the skeptics today, today isn't the day for us to argue numbers or show proof that this is not a pandemic. You can find great information on MPP Randy Hillier's Facebook or Instagram, for instance, as well as checking out the gbdeclaration.org. If more of you would like to understand your rights and freedoms and how government is actually allowed to work, please visit the ezrainstitute.ca and listen to the podcast. Joe Boot from Toronto has studied the role of government, the individual, the family, the church, and their spheres of sovereignty extensively. Many of you voluntarily took precautions against COVID-19 back before government locked us down and mandated anything. And for what? They locked us down anyway. But this shows that businesses know how to take responsibility and serve their customers to meet their needs. And it shows that government is completely unnecessary to save us. Because they restrict the free market and our individual freedoms, we have only become poorer, more alienated, and unable to help one another. We have had enough. We're here to encourage one another and live normally, as is our God-given right. Please visit the constitutionalrightscenter.ca and support Rocco Galati. You can donate there and support him as we take back our country from this authoritarian power. So stay free, everybody. Woo! Thank you. Up next is Heidi. Come on up.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? So, good afternoon. As Kimberly said, my name is Heidi. This is my husband, Will. He's going to help me here just in case I faint. So, I've worked as a professional in the healthcare field sector for 25 plus years. Today, I'm going to challenge our thinking concerning fear. Who here has ever been afraid? Yes. Want to see some hands? Great. Can anyone tell me in their own words what fear means to you? Anyone? Devastating. Intimidation. Paralyzing. That's right. I have the definition of fear right here. A distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc. Whether the threat is real or imagined, a feeling or condition of being afraid, something that causes feeling of dread or apprehension. All of these words, distressing, emotion, arouse, danger, evil, they elicit a deep, visceral response upon their hearing. When we become afraid, our heart rate increases, our breathing increases, hearing becomes acute. And when we are afraid, the body prepares for either fight, flight, or freeze. Bear with me. Fight, the body prepares to fight, meaning we actually choose to confront that with which we have become afraid. Flight, we seek to escape, take off to a safe place, get away from the real or perceived threat. Freeze, we actually become so afraid that we submit to fear and become paralyzed with inaction. Anyone identify with any of these? So we see that fear motivates us to either one of these three categories. Today we are here because we are confronting, fighting fear, that which wants to make us acquiesce to fear. We are here to say that fear does not lead us. Fear does not have us bowing at its feet. We are here today to declare publicly that fear does not have a hold on our lives or on our souls. Amen? We walk, march to show that together, in unity, we stand against tyranny and fear. We still have our voices, right? And we have each other. Together, we show those opposed to freedom that it will take more than covering our mouths, enforcing restrictions upon where we go, with who or whom we can gather, and what we can say or cannot say. We are not here today to rebel against our laws or our government, but to hold them accountable for that which they are propagating through our media. In reality, what is actually happening and what we are being told is not in complete alignment with one another. Can I get an agreement with that? We are reminding our government to uphold our freedom as it is written in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We have the right of freedom of conscience and religion. We have the freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of press and other media communication. Freedom of peaceful assembly. Right on? Freedom of association. What we see today and are walking through in this day now is a well thought out agenda conceived by evil to give birth to fear to set upon us. And we're not taking it. To close our mouths and to take away our right to oppose that evil and to freely, openly voice acknowledging that is actually happening. We declare here today that we will continue to hold those who lead our municipal, provincial, and federal government accountable for what they are saying and what they are doing. We intend to see that the supremacy of God and the rule of law written into our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms will still be upheld, if not by the masses, by a few that intend not to be pressured by fear and to give up our freedoms as Canadians. Today, we demonstrate our freedom of peaceful assembly, that we are not afraid. That's why all of you are here, to confront the evil and the lies, that we are not afraid to seek and speak the truth. We will not remain silent. I have a couple of verses of scripture I'd like to read, and I think most of you people are probably Bible-believing Christians, so I don't think I'm worried about offending anyone. So in Proverbs 29:25, the fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. So do not be afraid, people. In Isaiah 41:10, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. So we rely on God's word and truth to affirm our true freedom. We do not have to fear because God is with us, and it is He who strengthens us and helps us. Amen? Confront the agenda of fear meant to frighten us into believing we are not free. Fear only has a grip on us as much as we allow it. Choose today, fear or freedom.
And next up we have Terry. Woo!
Good job, Heidi. Whoop. It's not a speech until that happens at least once. Or that. Well, look, first I want to thank Heidi. That was absolutely great. An inspirational speech. Thank you. Which tells you that we don't need elected politicians or high-paid speakers to come and tell you the truth. We can do it ourselves. And that's what we're here to do. We want to thank also the people who provided some great background music for the last 15, 20 minutes when we were here. Thank you. Thank you to law enforcement for being here to make sure everything remains peaceful. That is our intention. And I also want to thank my wife, Kimberly, who's the bravest person I know. Kimberly! All right, now, I know from my svelte athletic figure you can't tell, but I am not actually a gymnast. So I'm probably not qualified to be a gymnastics judge. But that's exactly what I found myself doing just a couple of weeks ago in Toronto. You wouldn't believe the display of gymnastics that I saw. It was in a grocery store. It was incredible. I mean, there was a young competitor starting a routine. Real smooth, crisp, clean move up the produce aisle. I mean, it was something. You guys have seen this in no frills everywhere. All of a sudden, stop, pivot, like you wouldn't believe. And I was like, what's happening? And then I saw there was an arrow on the floor. Whoa! I mean, this was incredible. I'm telling you, the athleticism was incredible, but it didn't stop there. She turned to the left, suddenly stopped, pivoted 180 degrees, found herself in another aisle. In the right direction, because the arrow pointed that way. But then somebody was walking towards her. Another competitor, I assumed. And she didn't know what to do. But again, those athletic skills kicked in, and you should have seen the turnabout. Now, here's the problem. She went to the next aisle, and I'm watching. This is all really very interesting. And if you want to judge something and give it a perfect 10, you've got to be able to observe all these intricacies of the things that normal people can't do. Well, turned, finally went in for a landing, could not find the checkout aisle without violating the arrows or the people coming toward her. It was amazing. But finally went in for the double, what do you call it? The cartwheel, found herself exhausted at the checkout aisle. And I'm telling you, I gave her a 10. It was amazing. Has anybody witnessed this kind of great gymnastics behavior at the... All right, now, listen. If the gymnastics were only physical like that and not mental, we might be okay. But the mental gymnastics that I've witnessed in the last little while watching everything is really incredible. I mean, first we're told, do this. No, that's not right. Do this. And there is zero consistency in any of the mandates that have been handed down. So, instead of watching and complaining, we figured we should talk about it, and it's something that we've been doing for a long time. We talk to our neighbors, we talk to our friends, talk to people at gas stations. This elicits some conversation in grocery stores. It's not a bad idea, and it's something that we need to do. Now, everybody starts these speeches by saying, I'm happy to be here. But I'm not happy to be here. I don't want to be here. I am not comfortable in front of this many people, and this is just Aylmer. But 7 months ago, I could not envision that I'd be standing in front of a crowd in Aylmer speaking about freedom. But here we are. And I know you'd rather not be here, as much as you probably like our company. It's good company after all. But there's a lot of things you could be doing instead. I'd rather be at a wedding, or a party, or a gathering, a bonfire. But I'm forbidden. You'd probably rather be at a theater, maybe a concert, maybe watching a kid's hockey game. Any hockey games recently? No? You can't, because your overlords, drunk with the power of emergency, have said you can't do that. So here we are. We're not here because we're looking to tick people off. Don't get me wrong. God knows I hate confrontation, probably more than anybody. My wife knows that. Everybody knows that. I hate confrontation. We are not looking to confront. but there are some things that have to be confronted. I live in a small town. Everybody knows everybody. You don't want to piss off your friends. It's not really good for your social circle. But this is what it has come to, because lines have been crossed that compel us to once and for all say enough. So when you see these kind of mental gymnastics and inhumane laws and lies being foisted upon you, it becomes duty to leave behind the comfort of easy conformity and stand up and say enough. When you see highly qualified experts and medical professionals having their voices silenced, having their speech curtailed, and having their careers and credentials besmirched by the mainstream media, but not only that, blocked and black-holed on social media, it's time we say enough, enough. When you see ordinary people with businesses and restaurants who have poured their blood, their sweat, and their tears into creating a life for their families, ruthlessly shut down and forced into bankruptcy by government diktat, including that of small town mayors and councillors in communities just like Aylmer, signing on to these mandates, it is time to leave behind the comfort of anonymity and non-confrontation and to say enough! When you see the exploding statistics on what was already a huge mental health crisis that nobody will argue with in our societies, and when you see skyrocketing drug use and overdose deaths, depression in teens, which 1 in 4 who in a recent survey say that they have contemplated suicide in the last month, suffering spiritually and emotionally from the inhumane and unconstitutional lockdowns, it is time to say, when you see the elderly desperate for human touch, for a hug from their grandchild, the soft touch of a family member, utterly abandoned and forsaken, left to die lonely deaths, but worse than that, not even have the honor of a funeral celebration, it's time we say, when you see the World Health Organization itself, that corrupt governing body to whom nobody should give an inch of credence, admitting that lockdowns and restrictions have led to tens of millions of people falling into abject poverty and hundreds of millions falling into undernourishment. It's time to gather in little towns and little squares just like this one, even to the ridicule of our friends and our family and the majority of our peers, and say, thank you! See, after all, it's not the children of politicians falling into abject poverty and dying. It's the poorest that are suffering the most, and we don't see them. We don't see them in our streets. We don't see them in the media. But it is they who suffer the most. And if they don't have a voice, we have to be that voice. And it starts in communities like these. There is a humanitarian crisis coming that will make the suffering of COVID-19 look like a walk in the park. And this humanitarian crisis is going to last for many, many years and claim the lives of vastly more people than COVID-19. So when you see government dictating what you can and can't put in your body, and threatening further mandates, including vaccinations that are being rushed to market at a profit of billions of dollars to drug companies that are deeply in bed with your politicians, it is time to stand up and say, this is my line, and you will not cross my line, and this is enough. Obviously, I could go on, but I'll cut to the chase. What can we actually do? I mean, other than just being here. But being here is important. Like you may say, like a lot of people said on the social media posts that were organized over the last only 36 hours to organize this, there's no point. Nobody cares if you and your bunch of yahoos want to gather. But you know what? There is a point, and let me tell you that, first of all, it's useless to stand and do nothing when things are happening against us. It is absolutely useless. You have to do something. Only a few months ago, it was 99% of people who stood with that crowd, and it included most of us. It really did. So what happens? Somebody has a little spark of courage, a little spark. That's all it takes. And then all of a sudden that 99% versus the 1% become the 2%. And then all of a sudden it's 3. And you guys have seen this. You've seen it on your social media. You've seen it among your communities. It becomes 3%. Then it becomes 4. Then it becomes 5. People are waking up. Woo! I mean, by God, it's a slow and painful awakening. But it's happening, and we see it happening. And they're realizing what's really going on with this pandemic. People's lines are being crossed. There's no shame in realizing that you're standing among the great majority of fearful, cowering masses and to wake up and change your direction. That's what we all do at some point in our lives. So we join a protest or a march even when it's difficult or embarrassing, and it is. Donate money and time to those who are fighting against injustice and tyranny on the front lines of our legal system, including Rocco Galati and his team of lawyers at the Constitutional Rights Centre in Canada. It's really, really incredible work that they're doing, and everybody thinks it may be nothing, but there are victories being won in the courts that are reclaiming some of the freedoms that we've lost. It's happening right now, and Rocco and his team are on the leading edge of that. Medical professionals who've been fired for speaking the truth, for doing nothing else but speaking, they can use our support, whether it's their encouragement or even funding. This type of gathering, however small, will spark the small flame of courage that I believe exists in the heart of good people. And they need you. They need you to be courageous. That's all they need right now, is for you to be courageous. And they need to see that they're not alone, and that there are others, and there's a growing body of resistance to the ever-increasing medical and economic tyranny. So your being here today is not futile. It's duty. It's exactly what it is, and you're honorable for having come here. I also think and believe very strongly that history will judge this crisis completely differently now than what is being recorded now. So just like at the Nuremberg trials that brought justice to the tyrants and those just following orders, I believe that those today who, even in small municipalities like ours, sign into law these soul-crushing mandates, they will face the scorn of history with long enough hindsight. Do you believe me? Yes! In times where governments have become God, we say that we will not bend our knee to their laws, and cannot bend our knee to anyone but a higher law and our higher lawgiver, God, who has given us these freedoms in the first place. So what else can we do? It is critically important to have conversations with everybody that we meet. Not obscenity-filled social media rants. Not speakers in the back of your truck trying to disrupt people talking about truth. Clear, concise, caring conversations need to be had. I've never spoken with so many people in, gas stations pumping gas. Like, it doesn't matter where they are, you can speak with people, and most people are polite and they want to have conversation. I've never had so much conversation with fellow grocery shoppers about my t-shirt or why I don't wear a mask. I've never had so many conversations with neighbors, friends, and family about the price of freedom and the importance of paying that price. I've often said to people that this generation, our generation and our parents' generation, is really the first generation that really didn't have to fight very much for their freedoms. After World War II, there's little, especially in Canada, that we've had to fight for with freedoms. They're taken away slowly, but we don't really notice. But did any of you think that we could go through our entire life and not fight for our freedom? There's not a chance. Everybody will have to at some point fight for freedom. We've lived in a blessed society and country where we have not had to do much. But that time seems to be over, and it's unfortunate. Now, not everybody's called to fight for freedom in the same way, and I acknowledge that. I'm going to try to wrap up here, but I don't think anybody can call themselves human and yet think that they are exempt from acting upon the truths that they have received to resist tyranny and to bring about justice in whatever small measure that they can do. So talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, be polite, talk to strangers. You're all strangers to me, most of you. Probably out of the, 250 people here, 200 people, I don't know 150 of you, you're strangers, but we're going to talk today because in speaking, we learn to express our truth and we learn what the heart of the person we're speaking to really is, and that's when you can make an impact. So God knows that we're being socially engineered more than ever to resist human contact. But I say, fight back and make contact. It's essential to survival. Ask somebody if you can give them a hug. I'm a hugger. I'm good at that. Give people a hug. I mean, if they don't want to hug you and they're genuinely afraid, don't give them a hug. Don't be an idiot. And for the love of all that is holy, if someone has a genuine concern about you wearing a mask but is open to speaking to you in a civilized manner, put on the damn mask and talk. That's normal. We're not going to be dogmatic and lose sight of the big picture in this. Right. So, human interactions with people, absolutely critically important in this time. So do it. Have the courage to make those conversations. And remember this, truth never needs the backup of force. Never. Truth will prevail on its own. You only need to speak it and act upon it. And it's lies and deception that require the point of a gun, the bylaw, the threat of fines to back them up. Speak the truth boldly. confidently, but in love. And, I love what Heidi said about fear. And in fact, I haven't counted, but I've often read that there were 2 words that Jesus Christ spoke more than any 2 other words in the New Testament in his recorded speech. And those were the words, fear not. We do not have to be afraid of anything, and especially not of speaking the truth and acting upon it. Thank you for your courage and for not being afraid to stand together here today. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a walk. I want to thank you so much for coming. And it's just an amazing thing that so many people love freedom. We are going to go this way around and walk on the main street. You saw the map, so you can follow me or whoever's in the front. Stay on the sidewalk unless police tell you to walk another spot. But I think we are on the sidewalk. And we're all grown-ups with children, so we know how to cross the street. It's supposed to make sure that you remember how. So don't disrupt, the flow of traffic and all that, which we wouldn't, but here we go. So thank you so much for coming, and let's go for a walk, and we'll come back. Oh, and keep in touch with me, because I'm sure we'll meet again. Thank you so much.
Feels good. Yeah.
Last Saturday was 5,000.
Great job,
They got us like 50. Oh, really? Yeah, I'll ask my dad. I forgot, but I will ask him. And then I'll try to get you guys it. Hey, I won't be able to get it. No. I'll get you one tomorrow.
Oh, wow. You guys are quick to get on the wagon. Thank you. You from town?
Oh, they ran my name. We know who you are. Start clapping. You go shoot one.